I'm sharing this story because what happened in our home didn't start as something dark. It started as curiosity. And curiosity, when it crosses certain lines, has real consequences. And if you've ever thought ghost hunts, Ouija boards, or harmless spiritual practices were just games, this experience changed my mind forever. And that's why I'm telling it. People love ghost stories, ghost hunts, haunted houses, Ouija boards, and most people treat it as entertainment. I mean, look in all the bookstores where a lot of the time at the main entrance, you'll see tarot cards and Ouija boards like it's a game. But when something follows you home, when it starts interacting with your kids, and when multiple people describe the same thing without ever talking with each other, it stops being a fun story. So tonight I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me in our home, how the door was opened, and why I don't believe hauntings are what most people think they are. And this all concluded with a night where my daughter came running into my room, screaming and crying, saying she saw this giant figure. And she said, "He's watching us." But I'm going to give you some backstory, and I'll give you the build up to what happened. And hopefully this will serve as a warning to not mess with these things. And back then I lived around Casadega, Florida. And I think that's what piqued a lot of my family and friends' interest in the supernatural realm. And they started dabbling with things like seances, tarot cards, Ouija boards, ghost hunts. And the goal, I think, was to contact something. And they actually did. And some of the ghost hunts, you could hear some of the audio of voices that were not in the party. Back then, I didn't stop anybody. I didn't think much of it because I didn't understand the dangers. I didn't intervene. I will say, I heard another YouTuber say this, and I thought it was a great analogy, that if something knocks on your door late at night and you don't know who's on the other side, would you open the door? It's the same with seances or Ouija boards or tarot cards. You're inviting whoever answers. And something did answer. And at first it started with stuff like my dog barking and seeing things that we couldn't see, almost, or acting like it did at least. It reacted to some sort of a presence. It started barking and growling at the wall. But then we started hearing more and more small things, like minor, like the sound of somebody running through our home, but nobody was there, and opening doors. Sometimes it would pass by doorways. And one night when it ran through our home, everybody in the house all at once heard the footsteps, but saw nothing. But then the activity escalated. It started to cross a line. At one point, my friend said he saw a large, dark figure bending over my 1-year-old's crib. Then another night, we started hearing these sounds. My 1-year-old was talking to something in the corner, and the baby monitor was watching him, and he kept making these weird noises like ah, ah, ah. And then all of a sudden, and me and my wife are watching this, and all of a sudden you hear a deep guttural growl. There's no way that a baby could have made that sound. And he reacted to it as if he heard something in the room. And I ran into the room, and he was still looking at the corner. But then my parents started having these experiences. My dad and mom would have the cover slowly pulled off of them at night. And one night, a hand came and touched my dad's face. And he went to grab for it. And it felt like, he said, strings being pulled out from his hand or his fist. Then my mom had this dream about this very tall man. She said he was well over 7 foot tall, pale skin, long black hair, and he said his name was Sam. He said that he wasn't there to harm the family, that he was just interested in our family. It's almost as if it was trying to get permission to stick around. But he also said that he was a Nephilim. He was one of the Nephilim. And we didn't really know what to make of that at the time. But hearing that now, it gives me chills. Thinking or knowing what a Nephilim is and knowing what demons are. And knowing that demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, it's chilling. And then my mom had this dream where she was swimming in a lake at night. And then all of a sudden, something grabbed her ankle and dragged her across the water. And then she said she woke up out of the dream being dragged across the bed. For her, that was it. That's when she contacted our pastor and had him come over, and he fasted and prayed for us. And this was many, many years ago. So this is way before any of us knew what to do about this. But remember Sam, because he actually comes up again later. So months go by, and that same closet that my son was looking at when he was speaking to something, it one day had everything in the closet spilled out onto the floor. The lamp was plugged in, which it wasn't before, and it was clicked to its brightest setting. It was almost as if something wanted us to know that it was there, that it was intentional and it wasn't an accident. I remember one vivid dream where I was in front of this door, and the only light was like the moonlight that was coming through the window. And I knew there was something in front of me. I knew it was a demon. And it picked me up and lifted me off the ground. And I kept trying to grab at it and punch at it. And I was hitting nothing. And I was choking in real life, and someone had to wake me up. But the scariest one for me, the one that blows my mind, is the giant in the doorway. And my oldest daughter, who was around 3.5 years at the time, ran into my room screaming and crying. She said that a giant man had been watching her and her siblings sleep. She said that he was so big he took up the entire doorway. And he just stood there watching her. She said that she was so scared that she pretended to be asleep so that it didn't notice that she noticed it. But eventually she ran out of the room, and she said she ran under its legs and got to me and my wife. Then she described what he looked like, and she said he was huge. He took up the entire doorway. He had pale white skin and long black hair. And then when I went to check, there was nothing there. She said that he was a giant man just watching her sleep. But she had never heard of Sam, and she had never heard of my mom's dream either. So the fact that she was describing the same person that interacted with my mother in her dreams, again, was pretty frightening. And her description matched perfectly. And something that's crazy is that there were a few people who were not religious at all in the house, but they said that they knew something was there. This is meant to be a really quick video about my experience, why you shouldn't mess with things that you don't understand, and how to deal with these things if you're ever in a situation like this. Let's talk about what I thought was happening, straight from a biblical point of view or lens. Demons are real. The scripture calls them unclean spirits. They're personal, deceptive, and hostile. Think the Gospels, Jesus casting them out. Their main tactics are fear, deception, oppression, and imitation. Ghost hunts, seances, and friendly spirits are open invitations. You think you're contacting grandma, but scripture warns the spirits lie. They present themselves as helpful, beautiful, even angels of light. The name Sam, the attractive face, the soothing, I don't want to harm you. That's classic misdirection. When you seek the dead, play with occult practices, or invite unknown spirits, we're giving a legal-like permission. That's why God forbids it. It's not to ruin our fun, but to protect us. When the door is open, you often see the same pattern: little disturbances, direct activity, fixation on children, and then escalation. And when you read books like 1 Enoch and Jubilees, it tells you that these spirits will not contend fairly. And that's why God warns us against messing with these entities. But what about the Nephilim? Genesis 6 mentions the Nephilim. Interpretations will vary. Here's what's key. Even if a spirit claims to be something, a claim does not equal the truth. Remember that these can be deceitful spirits. And demons weaponize identities, giants, ancestor guardians, to anchor fear and fascination. Whether that label is historically accurate is less important for this video, and it's less important than the behavior. deception, intrusion, drawing attention to itself. Spirits will coordinate narratives. The dream and my daughter's sighting matching so tightly isn't proof of Sam's identity. This is evidence of a deliberate construct meant to burrow deeper into our home through agreement and attention. If you've opened the door, even accidentally, you can close it. Out loud, renounce any involvement with seances, witchcraft, divination, or attempts to contact spirits, and then ask God for forgiveness and close those permissions. Get rid of occult items, books, charms, or anything tied to those practices. Pray in Jesus or Yeshua's name. Fill your house with worship and the word. If you're face to face with something, rebuke it in the name of Yeshua. These doors can be closed through prayer and by keeping God's commandments, not giving the enemy a foothold. And if you're unsure how to handle this, ask mature believers to pray over you and your home. At the time, we were spiritually mature in our faith, and we had our pastor come to our house and pray with us. And not only that, he fasted as soon as he heard the story. So this isn't about chasing shadows. It's about authority and alignment. Submit to God, resist the devil, and demons will flee. I wish I could say it ended the night that my daughter ran under that thing's legs, but what ended it was closing the door that we had opened and choosing obedience over curiosity. And this is not meant to be a comprehensive guide to how to deal with demons, not at all. But if this helped, share it with somebody else who's dabbling in these things and thinks it's harmless. Drop your questions below and let's have a conversation about it. And remember, not every knock deserves an open door.